Hey, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and here's my question to you. How do you decide who to vote for in presidential elections? Secondly, why don't you just choose the person I do? Make it a lot easier on all of us. Skeptical? Ooh, come on in. All right, many of you may not have heard about this, but we have a very important presidential election coming up shortly. And so, I don't know, I thought I'd spend a moment examining what criteria should be considered when voting for the person that will become the most powerful leader on earth. First thing you always need to remember is that we are a constitutional republic. Republic means rule of the people. So if you're human, you fall in the category of the people. So the first criteria you should examine would be, does the person you're going to vote for represent your point of view? Remember, because we vote for people to carry our voice to Congress and the Senate, we should be very sober in considering that how they defend and implement certain concerns, laws, and traditions of our country, you are approving of. They are your representative. And so when you see your candidate make a speech or buy a bagel or kiss a baby, that's you. So number one, do they represent your concerns and desires for the functioning of this great nation? Number two, are they strict adherents to the Constitution? Remember that even though they represent your voice and desires, they are bound by the rule book the founders put in place. So we would know what we are allowed to do and what we aren't allowed to do in order to remain as consistent and fair in regards to maintaining order and defending the freedoms and liberties of the entire country as possible. Third, every president could possibly be nominating another Supreme Court judge. Now, this is incredibly important because of the three branches of government instituted by the Constitution to separate powers and remain a check and a balance on each other. None of these has done more damage, has made more blunders, has used their position to inculcate their personal point of view over the original intent of the Constitution than the judiciary. The founders believed that the judicial branch was actually the weakest of the three because all they were expected to do was not make laws, not redefine laws, not edit the Constitution or read into it ideas and concepts that were never there, but were only there to make sure that the law-making branch, which is the Congress, simply made no laws that breached the Constitution. Oh, and are you ready? The original intent of the Constitution. See, if you think I'm being over-dramatic, just keep in mind that everyone who reads the Constitution sees clearly that, for example, all human beings are equal and deserve to be free based on the dignity given them by their Creator, which is apparently how the Supreme Court in 1857 in the Dred Scott decision reached the conclusion that slavery was okay. Also keep in mind that for 150 years, the freedom a state or even the federal government had in using taxpayer dollars to secular and religious institution was considered fair and balanced. Even Jefferson signed treaties to send Christian ministers to Native Americans. Yet suddenly, in 1947, the Supreme Court found that treating religious schools equally in regards to funding for bus vouchers for sending students to religious schools, which, by the way, allowed the freedom for all Americans, secular and religious, to equally share in where their taxes were distributed, was suddenly unconstitutional. Up until then, it wasn't. What happened? The Supreme Court decided to find a law that was never there before, to institute a new version of the Constitution so their secular point of view could be established. Fair? Of course not. But that's why getting Supreme Court justices that are originalists, that is, interpret laws through the prism of the original intent of the Constitution, is the only way we can maintain consistency and allow the most amount of freedom for the most amount of Americans, even the ones you hate. We need a woman president. We need a gay president. Never mentioned is their competence or their experience. Please keep in mind that the single most important right in the Constitution is the first line, the freedom of religion. Now, you might think, oh, I'm prejudiced because I'm a Christian, but you would be in error. The reason it is the most important is because it represents the freedom of conscience. It deserves the most protection because it allows the secular and atheist and religious the most fair and equal treatment under the law. By the way, I hope you've noticed the criteria I am exploring here in regards to what is most important in a president. Notice, I haven't told you who to vote for or anything about the candidate other than the only thing that should matter, their philosophy in regards to America, our Constitution, and the good of the people. But let me tell you what should be considered irrelevant in your choice. What we don't need is the first woman president. We don't need the first gay president or the first black woman or Hispanic or the first transgendered president. You see, to categorize candidates based on a physical trait or a gender trait or a behavioral trait has absolutely nothing to do with the most important feature necessary for a great leader: competency. Keep in mind that one of the many reasons leftism is so damaging to society is because it values group distinctions over proven experience and philosophical acumen. Remember, it is the left that instituted the idea that we need to lower the bar for college admissions in order to help out minorities that might be excluded because they aren't doing as well in testing. Can you possibly be more condescending, racist, and arrogant as to belittle others based on race by claiming how sensitive and protective you are of other races than your own? So let me leave you with this. If you truly care about freedom in America, fairness, jobs, defense, liberty, and civility, then you're going to have to vote for the person that not only champions those ideals, but has a track record of actually implementing them when they were in a position to do so. America is on the brink of potentially imploding forever. This experiment isn't over yet, and it is volatile. Vote your conscience, folks, but do us all a favor. Pray that we are able to continue as a nation that sees each other and all our variables as Americans. If you don't love the country that has given you this privilege, you are the problem. This is God's comic, Brad Stine. And clearly, PC free is liberty. Now, I know most of you just watched this episode are thinking, can we vote for you for president? No, you can't. But you know what you can do? You can vote for me by going to Brad Stine Has Issues on YouTube and subscribe to it and challenge all your friends to do the same. Go to my Facebook fan page and like and follow. Now, why do we tell you to do that? Because it builds up our numbers and it shows advertisers and so forth that people want this content. And that's the only way I can keep this going. You know, I mean, somebody's got to pay for this stuff. And right now it's kind of me and I'm going broke. But if you guys would just help me show that what I'm doing matters. And if it doesn't, don't. But if you think what I have to say could be of value, please, I need you actually to go subscribe to YouTube and Facebook so I can stick around. Thank you so much for voting. And yes, I would have been a great president.